Welcome back to the On the Slab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Why do we do this on a Friday night, gentlemen? Enlighten the folks.
Friday night is horror night. Woo!
Absolutely, it is. You don't rub your eyes, folks. Don't adjust your shits. All three of us are here for a second week in a row.
2 for 2.
Yeah, I say that now, but at the time of recording, we were here for 2 weeks in a row. Depending on when the episode gets released. But tonight, I was scrolling through the interweb, and I messaged you, bright folks, there to an episode that I'd like to do. That I found a list from a little website called Ranker, right? Obviously, we've used it before on some of the old lists, and then I put together other ones. And it was the top 31 bad guys in horror, right? Now I've added a 32 in, so we make it an even number because who the fuck only wants 31?
Who makes a list of 31?
Unless you're Rob Zombie making 31, which was a terrible movie as well. But that's for a different day.
Move on.
But lads, welcome back again. But as I said, it's a list that I found on one of the websites. It was top 31. I've added a 32nd one in here.
Right.
So the 32nd one for me is just me putting it in. It's not in their list. So we're gonna go top list down, right? So number 32 I put in was the Predator. Right? So that obviously tells you it did not make the top 31.
Right, so straight away, yeah, fair enough. I appreciate you put it in a list.
Yeah.
But that's like straight away, that's alarm bells for me that wasn't in the top 31.
Yeah. Me too.
It could be alarm bells for me, but it's the top 31 bad guys.
Predator has 6 movies.
Yeah, it does. But again, is Predator a bad guy? That's the caveat I'd put on that. Is he a bad guy? He is of a race that enjoys
hunting.
Well, not just necessarily hunting, but likes a strong, combative person. So they hunt to try and find something that's difficult to kill. Now, It is, he's meant to be the bad guy in the film. He's the antagonist in all the films, but is he a bad guy? That's just the way his race is. They're trying to find something that can beat them. Because when Arnie beats him, in obviously the first one, he gives up, and in the second one, when he gets beaten, when one of them gets killed, they give him a reward for having killed a predator. So they aren't necessarily bad guys. They just,
they're misunderstood.
They just like
bad ways of doing things. Yeah,
they like scrapping, and they're just looking for someone to give them a good scrap.
I suppose though, that's a very good point, Ted, because even in Alien versus Predator, they're the ones that kind of help the humans out a little bit more.
Yeah, they just like a scrap.
I respect that.
Yeah.
But I just, as I said, I threw that in because I couldn't, in my right mind, do a 31.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, listen, and it deserves to be up there. It is a great antagonist. Like,
here we go. Right, this is their official list from now. The Babadook made it to 31. I'm gonna start with this one. This was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was fucking atrocious. That little kid, I swear to God, I'd love to drop kick him.
Yes, I agree.
My God, it was an awful fucking movie. I don't know where the love comes for this.
I'm all in with that feeling, Greg. I fucking hate that film.
I watched it once, and I swear to God, I'll never watch it again. And I watch awful crap a lot of times.
Yeah, like as you said, the hype around that film, people were like, "Oh, it's terrifying." Blah blah. No, it was muck.
Dirt.
Yeah.
Up was good though.
The film isn't great, but is the Babadook a good? Like, would he be in your top bad guys?
No.
But is that just because you don't like the film? Like, as an actual bad guy,
no, because he's
not terrible.
There's more bad guys that do that same kind of thing. Like Pennywise does the same thing. He just torments you till you give up.
Yeah, true. But I would assume Pennywise is also on the list, but higher. Do you know what I mean?
The Lamia I would have put in ahead of this from Drag Me to Hell done it very, very well.
Yeah, maybe that's fair.
Which obviously, if I'm telling you that, it's not on this list, which is a shame because I thought it was one of the best horror films of the 2000s.
Disclaimer: we did not put this list together.
Yeah, but also I think there's these type of lists. They do also rely heavily on
critic scores and stuff.
Not just critic scores, but like films that are known. So you very rarely get an obscure film, and if you do, it's like 1 or 2 obscure films out of a list of 30. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's you haven't seen this list, lads.
No. It's not off to a good start.
There's about 5 on this. There's about. Is it 5? No, 3 on this list that I haven't seen.
Okay.
Well, if you haven't seen them,
Then there's every chance we haven't.
No, that's not true. But we'll
I'd
get
say it
to,
is.
I'll get to it when we get to it, right?
Hmm.
Number 30. Now, this one really alarmed me how high this was on the list. Jigsaw.
Low.
Well, you mean low on the list?
Sorry,
Yeah, low
low,
on the list.
low on the list, but high numbered.
Yeah, I think that's a
Jigsaw,
terrible
30.
spot for him to be. I think he should be way higher. He's a brilliant bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a top tier bad
Only
guy.
reason I think this could be that high is because technically he does not kill anyone.
He's still a brilliant.
Oh, he's phenomenal. Tobin
Yeah,
Bell is phenomenal.
But the thing is, this isn't the top killers.
I know,
It's the top bad guys, and I think that's what makes him such a good bad guy. And there's the argument that he's not necessarily a bad guy because he's taking people who've done bad things and making them go through the bad things they've done to become better people. But that isn't, like, that's the theory, but that is never what happens.
No.
Like, this guy is a sadist who is, like, punishing people. Like, and as you said, like, he doesn't actually kill anyone. But I mean, Manson never killed anyone, and he's still a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's still a bad guy.
He's still a bad guy, yeah.
Yeah,
That's true. But yeah, I thought when I seen
that's a
this
shocking
this
spot
high-
for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is off to a shite start,
Yeah.
lads. Fucking hell.
Do you know something, lads? We might have to do our own one of this. Not necessarily do an episode, but at least put a post up of what we think.
I think we will do. We'll work it out in the group chat over a couple of days or something, and we'll do it.
Babadook's not getting on it.
No, it is not. Number 29. This is one of the ones that I haven't seen, but I know you have, Ted. It's Kevin Wendell Crumb from Split and Glass. James McAvoy.
I'm not against that. I'm not against that.
against him being on it. I don't know, would he be in the top 31 bad guys of all time?
No.
I think his acting performance is unbelievable in Split.
Yeah.
It's one of the best acting performances I've seen. But
And
is he a
I
great
have-
bad guy?
I
I
have
wouldn't
said
even
to
say
you-
he's the best bad guy in
No.
that trilogy. I think there's somebody else who's a better bad guy in the trilogy.
I have said to you, I've started to come around on McAvoy. His new film, Speak No Evil, he's fucking phenomenal in.
Yeah, I genuinely don't think he's been bad in any film I've seen him in.
Yeah, he's a very good actor.
Brilliant.
Right, 28. The Entity from It Follows.
Too low.
Yeah.
Too low.
It's too low.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me.
I think that's okay there.
Well, yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, there's gonna be
There's going to be bigger hitters.
Yeah.
There is bigger hitters, but I think 28 on that list is still too low for him. Like, we have to keep in mind that the Entity, or Pennywise, you know, like, as he's
No, It Follows, not It.
Oh, from It
Yeah,
Follows.
no,
Oh, well, that's all right then.
Yeah.
I was thinking Pennywise,
No,
because he's
Penny-
technically Pennywise is an entity as well.
Yeah. No, sorry. The Entity
Okay.
from It Follows, yeah.
Oh no, well then that's okay. Yeah, then I'm okay with that, because I was going to say, Jesus, I'm surprised you boys think Pennywise being
Oh,
that
no.
low is all right. Like,
This episode, this list wouldn't have made it if it was up that high.
yeah, I was
No.
gonna be bouncing. I was gonna be like, fuck off, lads, on last night. I was like, shite.
Now, this one here is going to throw a lot of people, right? And I think it's probably a fair place, but because of how well the movie done, right? People are going to give out about it. 27 is Norman Bates from Psycho and Psycho 2. The Anthony Perkins one. Like, as influential as Psycho was, here's a fun fact for you about Psycho. Do you know it's the first movie that ever showed a toilet flushing?
Yeah.
Deadly.
But Psycho with Norman Bates at 27, I think it's okay there. I think he's never an amazing
Yeah.
bad guy. I
Yeah.
think it has that influential scene with Janet Leigh in the shower.
Yeah. I wouldn't be putting it higher. I wouldn't in my list, like now, or in our list.
Depending on what's higher than him, I might move him up a place or two.
Literally, that's
but-
about it.
Yeah, I don't like. I wouldn't be like, oh, Norman Bates needs to be top 10. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a good bad guy, and the films themselves are brilliant. But again, this isn't about what's the best film and things like that. This is about just the antagonist in the films.
I think the best way you could put it is, I think Norman Bates and Anthony Perkins is a part of the film, if you get me. Whereas last week we were talking about Art the Clown being an entity on its own.
Yeah.
So the character of Norman Bates is a part of the film, and it's a great part of the film. So as in terms of being a great bad guy on his own, maybe not so much. Like, you know?
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think he's an amazing bad guy, but he's not. Like he does his part very well. But like there's definitely better bad guys overall.
100%. Now it's an entry for a Universal monster that's been in many a movie at 26 here. This is Frankenstein. Obviously, Frankenstein's monster. It's over multiple movies, so there's not one in particular.
Now, is Dr. Frankenstein the bad guy, or is the monster the bad guy?
Yeah, technically the monster's the bad guy.
No, he's not. The monster is an abomination that was created, and he just acts as he was created to
know what he's
doing.
doing.
Frank breaks things, lads. Frank breaks things. He's the bad guy.
But because he doesn't know any better, he doesn't understand.
He misinterpreted the rules, I know, but
no, he doesn't misinterpret the rules.
He doesn't
he doesn't have the capacity to understand what he's doing. He is controlled. Dr. Frankenstein is the actual bad guy. He's the real monster. The monster is just it's a toddler that you just send and go knock that off the table, and he knocks it off the table.
Smash.
Yeah.
I'd agree with Ted 100% that the monster itself is not a bad guy, but if you were putting Frankenstein on a list, it would be for best horror characters, not necessarily best bad guy.
Well, I'm happy to have Dr. Frankenstein be on the list. I am not happy for Frankenstein's monster to be on the list.
Let's see. The actual post had it as Frankenstein's monster.
Yes, well, I'm not happy with that. Dr. Frankenstein should be on that list, and the monster should be given maybe not a pass, but
at 26, would you be happy to leave it there? Or would you think it would be higher? Should have been higher on the list.
Would leave it there if it was Frankenstein, if it was Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Again, considering who's ahead of the Doctor. That's if it was Doctor.
I'm willing to put the combination of the two there, because Dr. Frankenstein is a piece of shit, and he creates something that can do the damage that he wants it to do. So I'm the two of them together. I'm willing to put there, and possibly a little bit higher, but not on his Frankenstein on his own. It's not his fault.
Yeah,
he misinterpreted the rules.
He's like Snitsky. It wasn't
my fault.
Yeah.
Right, big hitter from the 70s out now, lads. Damien Thorne from The Omen. At 25.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Not a huge fan of the original Omen. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I thought the first Omen is the best in the franchise.
I love it.
I
love it.
When you say the first Omen, you mean the film, the first Omen, not the
prequel,
not the original. Yeah.
The newest one.
I'm happy with him to be there, because as a bad guy, I think he is good, but I suppose technically he is
a vessel for the devil.
So
like what Frankenstein's monster is for Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, but a little different in the sense that if you're saying that who's the best bad guy, like the devil could be up there as the best bad guy, but I think there's better bad guys than that character. Do you know what I mean? Like you could put the devil in another character, and I think he could be stronger in that character than in this one. Do you know what I mean?
So
I think this one became so infamous because it was a child.
Yeah, I think I might move that up a little bit. I think that could probably be in the top, say 20. I think it could make it to 20.
And I'd be okay with it where it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily overly wrong that it's where it is, but I think you could make a very strong argument to push it up, sort of thing.
Now, okay. So I just have a slight move. I'm just putting down roughly what we said about it. Right, 24. A movie that's a character that has 4 movies, 3 of which are surrounded by bad media because of a piece of shit director. A phenomenally made character in the early 2000s in Jeepers Creepers here. For me, it's far too high on that list.
Far too low, you mean?
Too low, yeah, on the list. I I think the character itself in 1 and 2, and even 3, I know 3 wasn't well received, was a phenomenal character and a great little backstory that you got from it. I thought the movie 1 and 2 especially were very well made. 3 was okay, 4 was dreadful. But the Creeper as a character itself is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the Creeper could deserve to be a good bit higher, but I think, as you said, the director and the negative press around it, and to be honest, the third and fourth film hurt the character a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it could be higher, but I understand why it is as low as it is.
I was actually surprised it made the list.
But the character though, the character is a good character. Character design, character, as you said, character development or whatever.
Whoever makes these lists for these websites usually tend to go off public opinion.
Yeah.
And the opinion on this is not to watch it because of the director.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I got into an argument there about a week ago with somebody.
You did with someone.
Oh, Jesus.
Strange. And they were saying about it, and they were like, "Oh, this, that, and the other about the director." And I says, "Okay, that's fine." I says, "Director's a piece of shit. Don't deny that." I says, "What about the 200 other people that worked in the movie, right?" And I says, "What about Francis Ford Coppola? He funded it. He got it pitched into the studios. He got it made. He was the executive producer. So does that mean you're not going to watch The Godfather? You're not going to watch Apocalypse Now? And things like that." "Oh, well, I didn't think about it like that." And I was like, the director's a piece of shit, and he sold the rights to it, so he doesn't get a penny when you watch it.
Yeah, and this is one of the big problems with not just films, but like you see it with music and everything like that. That one person can take away from everyone else that was involved, and it's harsh, and I can understand some people deciding that they don't want to have anything to do with it anymore, but I don't think it's fair to say that film doesn't deserve any accolades because of the director, or because this person did this, or this person said this, or whatever. I think you're taking a lot away from a lot of people and saying what you did and what you did well is no longer relevant because somebody else fucked up, or somebody else not fucked up even. Somebody else was a piece of shit because if they didn't fuck up, they're a piece of shit, which are two very different things. So yeah, I'd agree. Creeper deserves to be higher, but the second two films, or like 3 and 4, hurt that character.
3 was okay. There was too much CGI. 4 was just a completely different movie.
And as well as that, it was a different Creeper. It wasn't Jonathan Brecht.
Yeah, that was the big issue.
That was because his expressions with his eyes.
Oh yeah. Even like in the second one, Joe, when he's on the bus and he's like,
yeah, that's the Creeper, and that's why I like it. I personally would have the Creeper maybe just hitting the top 20.
I'd have it closer down, to be honest. I'd have it closer to 10.
So closer up.
Yeah. Well, down. I'm reading on the page. I'm reading from top to bottom, so I'm reading down the page.
Yeah, but 1 is a higher number, you know.
So the lower the number, Greg, the better it is.
Yeah.
I'm reading off a page here, lads. Right. 23. It was out of the Conjuring universe. It's not exactly the character I thought might have come out of it, but Annabelle is 23.
I've no opinion on that, to be honest.
Alright, so I only rewatched the whole franchise with Zoe there recently. I'd only ever seen the first Annabelle, and I didn't really like it when I seen it in the cinema. Preferably because I went into the cinema pissed off because Ireland were playing Germany that night. John O'Shea scored in the last minute, and we decided we were going to the cinema, and I missed it.
I love John O'Shea.
So I'd gone in a bad mood, and I came out of it. So when I rewatched them, the movies themselves aren't bad. They aren't bad. It's quite a good development character, and obviously being a true story to an extent. Obviously, the doll looks completely different. It's a Raggedy Ann doll. But I'd be quite okay with that there.
I think it's fair enough to have it there. I don't think it should be any higher.
Yeah, I could probably switch that around. Really, that could have went probably higher up and moved Jigsaw down.
I would definitely have Jigsaw way higher on the list than he is. Like I would have Jigsaw top 5 maybe. Like way like he'd way too low on the list. Annabelle, if Annabelle wasn't on the list, I wouldn't be saying that it needs to be on the list either, though.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
I think because the later into the Conjuring you get, the more that demon that possesses Annabelle plays a part.
Yeah.
And it goes on then, obviously, that demon then teams up with Valak in The Nun and stuff, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy enough for it to be there, but as I said, I wouldn't argue that it should be there either if something else had replaced it.
Right. Number 22. I'm going out here before I even say this, and this wouldn't have even made my list. The Armitage family from Get Out.
No.
Fucking woeful. Woeful. Jordan Peele bollocks.
Yeah, they wouldn't be on any list for me, so...
Like, they've killed a few people, but nothing more than any other psycho in any other film did. Like Big Ed from The Mutilator kills more people than these do.
Right. Well, the reason I wouldn't like these on the list, and it's actually very different to you, is because I know, Greg, for you don't like Jordan Peele as a director at all. I actually don't think he's that bad. I think he needs a help with the final, like the final third of his films. I think that's where he's lacking, because I think he does a very good build up into his films and then kind of struggles at the end to what he should be doing. I wouldn't have this on this because it's a family. And I don't think when you're talking best bad guy, I don't think a family should be the best bad guy. And I know, like, listen, my favorite franchise is Scream, and that's 2 different people, or like in each film, it's 2 different people, or 3 different people, or just one person, or whatever. But I think that's different. I think that's a specific thing. This is an entire family.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would put them on the list because of that.
I wouldn't even put them in the top 100.
No.
I'd have the Crocodile from like Placid higher.
Yeah, also I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that I'd put them as... I don't know if they'd have made the list anyway, even though I was including the fact that it's a family on it. I don't know that they've made the list. Get Out isn't bad, to be fair.
Get Out.
No, like I think Get Out is probably his strongest.
Can I ask you, lad, a question now? And this isn't kind of dynamo controversial, okay? But do you think, like, does he only make horror films for a certain audience? If you get me.
There's definitely certain tones that he uses, and like that's not the issue. I don't mind the certain tones, right? And it can be racist, it can be sexist, it can be whatever the fuck it wants to be. I don't like them because the movies are boring and shit. And people will turn around, oh, you don't like Jordan Peele, you must be a racist. No, I'm not a racist. No. I just think they're boring. I don't think they're mashed up stories that we've seen from a few different films that he's claiming to be original. Yeah, he won a best original screenplay for Get Out, and I don't believe it is.
No, I think Get Out is decent. Some of his other films, I think he just really lacks with the end. I think is the main thing. I think he just struggles with ending out his films. Other than that, I think his films are quite good. I think they're paced quite well, and I do think. I know what you're saying. It's not necessarily an original story, but a lot of stories in horror aren't actually original stories anymore.
Oh, absolutely, I don't. I would
so
agree
it's the twist that you put to them, I think, is what makes them original. Like I think Get Out is probably his strongest.
Oh, it is, yeah. Absolutely.
Nope was very strong up until a certain point, and again, it's the final act, like that final third of the film, that lets him down. Similar to Us. I didn't see Candyman because you didn't recommend it, Greg.
Well, he didn't do Candyman.
No, but
Nia DaCosta did, but it felt every bit of a Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah, no, but he was heavily, like, you could see he was heavily involved in it. Yeah, other than that, I think his best stuff is his comedy stuff, if I'm honest.
100%. I didn't mind his comedy stuff with him.
I like his
Peele.
I like his comedy stuff.
And I think he does have a lot there as a director. I think it's just that final bit that he needs help with. But yeah, I wouldn't put the family there because it's a family, but I can see I do think it probably is there because people have fallen in love with Jordan Peele as a horror director. Whether we do or not isn't relevant. A huge amount of the horror fan base do rate him very highly. So
absolutely, and I know loads of people. Like for me, it's a 50-50 split with him. Like I know people that love him, and I know people that absolutely hate him.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have had them there, and I definitely would have had them lower if I was putting them there. But that's fine.
Yeah.
Right, King. Watch this as Ted leaves the chat here. Number 21, Ghostface.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this is that high on the list because low on the list because
it's multiple people.
It's multiple people, yeah.
Yeah, and this is, I just said it there. I don't think a family should go in, and I understand that because Scream and Ghostface and stuff, like Scream are my favorite films. Ghostface is probably my favorite killer. It's
Ghostface. It's an actual. I suppose it's more of a costume, really. But
but it's different people every time, so I can understand why it gets dropped down. I think as like if you're saying a bad guy, Ghostface isn't a bad guy. There's bad people behind the Ghostface mask, and they use the Ghostface mask to get away with what they're doing for however long they get away with it for. So I can understand it being lower down, and I would personally have it higher. But I understand the argument to have it lower because it is multiple different people. I fully understand the argument. But I would have it higher.
But when you were going off about the family and it being multiple people, I was like, please don't mention Scream, because I knew Scream was coming up next. And I was kind of like, well, you just said, but then you said it, and I was like, bastard.
Yeah. No, I do think I can understand it being as low down. I still would have it higher because I think
I'd 100% have it higher.
100%.
I think the character itself, even though it's multiple people playing the character all the time, I think the character is so iconic that it can be higher. But I understand that the argument of, well, it's not one person. So,
me personally, I'd have it down in and around that top 10 spot.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I'd have it. Because I do think there is stronger individuals. Like I would say, Tobin Bell as Jigsaw is a stronger individual. Bad guy.
I can understand that, and I didn't like the placing for that at all.
No.
Right.
No, that's been the worst one so far, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So we've got Scream, King. Any visions on that? I'm not liking the way this list is put together. I think we could definitely do a better list.
I definitely think so.
But we're gonna go through it, and we're gonna stick it out here. That was a dreadful placing for me.
Yeah.
Candyman at 20. Tony Todd, iconic voice. Film for me is just meh. It's very boring.
You know, you'll find a lot of characters like that from the the late 80s, early 90s, where the film was just okay, but the character was class.
Yeah,
and that's what we're judging off here. To me,
I brought it up a million times about Hellraiser. Not a Hellraiser
Pinhead.
Pinhead.
Brilliant. I love Pinhead. I like the first Hellraiser, but like the rest of them are muck, But I wouldn't be against him in the top 20. Put it that way.
Well, he is 20.
Yeah,
and I'm happy for him to. I'm happy for that character to be there. I think it's a strong position for it. Now, depending on what's ahead, maybe I would have moved it up, but I don't think it's wild for it to be at around 20.
Yeah, I think there's a lot better characters there.
Yeah,
around. Right. Okay. Candyman, as I said, it's just there, isn't it? It's iconic. The voice.
Yeah.
It's the voice. And if. Oh yeah. Okay. Number 19 is Samara Morgan from The Ring. So they're obviously going with the American Ring and not Ring-U, because obviously they use the name Samara Morgan. If it was me, I'd be using Ring-U because it's a better character and it's better developed. I think The Ring I think The Ring is too long. Naomi Watts was brilliant in it. The movie was very good. It's just too long. I thought the character itself of Samara, again, you could liken that to Frankenstein's monster. It's not exactly something that she's done. It was done to her, and she's just paying the penalty of it.
Mm.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen The Ring. The film,
I haven't seen it since I went to see it in the cinema in 2002.
It's obviously like the whole thing is, you watch the video.
Yeah, the 7 days.
The video, I can't remember now, and maybe you boys can remember off the top of your head. Where does the video come from?
Blockbuster.
Well, that's what came from a scary movie. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen it since 2002.
Someone creates it though, don't they?
I think she burns it in her head or something along them lines.
Or manifests.
I have to watch it again. I can't. I couldn't tell you. I might watch it one of the days.
I'd have to rewatch it, but I still have it in my head that somebody created the video based on what happened to her. Someone created the video, and to me, whoever created the video
is the
bad guy.
Yeah, that's what. Well, no. So the mother drowned her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's essentially the bad guy. So, as you said, if we're going off the base that we've gone with Predator and stuff like that and Frankenstein's monster, she's not really at fault.
Yeah, but whoever created the video, I would say, is at fault because the mother drowns her, but that should have been the end of it. Someone then created the video that allows her to come out and kill others.
Yeah.
So that person to me would be the bad guy there. But yeah, other than that, I think the character is a strong character to have up there, and I don't think it's unfair to have either. If you go Ringu, I know you're saying that they went with The Ring, but I think either set, Ringu or The Ring,
story.
I think the character deserves to be there. Possibly would have maybe moved it up into 16 or 17 area, but not much higher.
Places.
Yeah, not much higher for me.
Now we have one. It's the only actor that has 2 entries on the list. And both of them come one side of each other of place 19. It's Death from Final Destination. Obviously, Tony Todd doesn't play Death himself, but he's the voice of it, and he becomes iconic for it. I don't know if this really should be in it because of what it is.
No,
it's not a character.
No.
Well, there is, because you can see shadows and stuff.
Still
Yeah, I don't know. This isn't a bad guy. Do you know what I mean? This is
fate.
Yeah, it's fate that these people should have died. Something got in the way, and then they die anyway. I don't think it's necessarily a bad guy.
I mean, there you go. There's a place that you could have put Jigsaw in.
Yeah, and I love the Final Destination films. I think they're
me too.
I think they're amazing, but I don't know that
I wouldn't have myself.
Yeah, I don't think I put Death as a bad guy anywhere because that's it's inevitable. Death isn't killing anyone. It's Death collects the souls of those who've died and things like that. And so yeah, I probably wouldn't put that there. I understand the idea of it being there because the concept of the film is very strong. But yeah, I wouldn't have put that there either.
Yeah. For me, obviously, we didn't make the list, and I state that again. It wouldn't have made it anywhere near for me.
No.
Movies are brilliant. Stories were brilliant. Death scenes in it brilliant, but not for me. Number 17 is The Poltergeist for multiple movies. Again, it's a haunting movie. It's very easy to put haunting movies into it. I
mean, if you're gonna put it in there, I would have put it down lower, rather than where it is.
Yeah,
I would have been the same. I
think maybe again this is running off because it was an '80s classic, and obviously the controversy that came with it, with having the real skeletons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It deserves to be on the list.
Had an alright remake too.
Yeah, no, but the character itself isn't a bad character. It deserves to be on the list. But yeah, I'd be with King. I think I think possession. Well, I suppose it's not really possession. It's a poltergeist, so it's its own.
A haunting, yeah.
Well, a poltergeist is its own entity, I suppose. But yeah, I think there's probably is things ahead of it. But again, is there a whole lot of things ahead of it? So maybe where it is actually okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not too upset with it being there, but I would, if it was lower, I wouldn't have. I don't think I'd have argued for it to be higher if it was lower either.
Right, lads. Number 16, halfway through, right? And now we get our first female of the day in Annie Wilkes.
Should be higher.
What are we making? You think so?
Should be higher up, yeah.
I'm not so sure. She's a great character. But where would you put it, King?
Maybe 11 or 12 ish, maybe.
Okay.
Well,
16's halfway through.
Yeah, I'm glad she's there. Yeah, well, okay. That's, yeah. I would be happy if you told me she was 11 or 12. I'd be like, yeah, okay.
You can accept that, yeah.
Yeah, I can accept that, yeah.
I quite like her character. I think was phenomenally good. She's forever inborn her image on a lot of people for that hobbling scene.
Yep.
Poor old James Caan. The movie, for having a cast of about 5 people, was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be okay halfway in the middle of the pack, like.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad spot. I suppose the thing that counts against her is that it is only one film, and I know that's not necessarily fair either. But if you've had multiple films, it's a lot easier to be a bad guy over multiple films than it is to be a bad guy over a singular film.
I don't know. I think you can make more of an impact over one if you're really strong in one film.
No, you can, but that if you're really strong in one film and then but somebody else is really strong in 4 films.
Well, yeah, that's different.
It makes it very hard for you to get ahead of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of bad guys out there that were bad across multiple films that make it difficult for.
I think she made such an impact, though.
Yeah, no, and I think she did very well. It's just I think she would struggle to get further ahead because of who could be ahead of her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be angry if she'd been
3 or 4
12, like 12 or 13 maybe.
Yeah.
But I, also don't think where she is overly unfair.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Number 15, another doll, an infamous doll this time. This one's Chucky. Not a huge fan of the franchise myself.
Yeah.
It's just there.
You like that I can give or take. I can understand people bit loving the character and all that kind of stuff. I'm indifferent to that character, to be honest.
What I don't understand is the absolute obsession with Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, actually.
There's a fucking massive obsession.
Don't get
it. Is it? I'm trying to think. Like,
is it the iconic look with the jacket and the tattoos? I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
Chucky was never great. I know Morris loves Chucky. Shout out to Morris there over on GP podcast.
I'm trying to think. Jennifer Tilly, when she came in, would that have been one of your first
crushes?
No, like first kind of bad guys, sort of. I don't know. Like,
I don't know what the obsession is.
Me either.
I think 15 is probably a decent old place for it.
Yeah, I'm happy enough with that.
I probably would have put it a good bit lower.
Well, I suppose when you look at where Jigsaw is, maybe, yeah.
I was never a big fan of the character of Chucky.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because, although it's obviously like a supernatural being and this, that, and the other, to me, it always, and like, listen, maybe if I'd been younger when I seen Chucky originally, this would be different. But to me, it's a little fucking doll. If that thing runs at you with a knife, you punt it before it gets near you, and you might get a little scratch on your leg, and the cunt is flying about 8 million miles across the room. And every time he comes at you, and they didn't allow him to be sneaky enough. I felt, and I think that hurts the character a lot. I think had the character been way sneakier, like as someone's walking by a dresser and he cuts the ankle,
no,
or things like that, like allowing the character to gain an advantage rather than, oh my god, there's a little doll with a knife running at me.
Run away, run away.
I'm terrified. No, it's not fun.
One of my strides is about 200 of his.
Yeah. Also, just pick him up, fuck him out the window. Like, so to me, Chucky, I've never been a huge fan of Chucky. I think the idea behind Chucky is good. I think the execution wasn't great. And maybe that's just an age thing. Like, when it came out, maybe it was a much stronger character when it came out because things like this hadn't been done. But since then, we've had loads of like doll characters or possession based characters that have been done stronger.
And think about there's two of them on this list. It's pretty much the same story.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't have put Annabelle any higher. And like if you swapped Annabelle and Chucky has the bigger name value. But to me, they could be interchanged, and I don't think either of them would deserve to be this high up.
No.
Yeah. As I said, Jennifer Tilly. The only thing I can think of would she have been the first character, like female horror character in that type of thing, like as the
love interest of the bad guy.
Well, as a doll, like sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Like that might be the reason. I don't. That's the only thing I can think as to why she became. But like again, it's just a cult classic thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right, we get our second actual female of the list, although this is basically two characters. We have Reagan and obviously Pazuzu from The Exorcist. I think that's a fair spot at 14.
Yeah, I think so.
Not a huge, like it's there and you understand the cultural impact it had and how well it was done. But for me, it's just there.
Yeah,
I think there's an age thing for me and you here, Greg, that when this came out, it was a huge
thing,
shock. Not just here, like around the world, like this huge shock. People had never seen something like this. Religion was still a very strong concept. So when I eventually saw it, I was kind of like, meh.
I was desensitized to it.
Yeah.
I've seen things like this. It's not bad. All the Exorcism films have never appealed to me massively. I've never been mad into them. Like
The Conjuring hits well.
I remember going to see The Exorcism of Emily Rose in the cinema, and people were like, "Oh, so good," and I was like, "Yeah, so maybe."
I'm not a huge fan of that. There's too much graping in that for me.
Yeah, but again, I was just like, it's just one of those films, and all the Exorcism films I've ever seen have been so. I don't hate them, but I wouldn't be rushing out to see any of them. So I understand the cultural impact of it, and I think that alone does allow it to be that bit higher. But again, you're talking possession by the devil.
Yeah, or no, demon in this one.
The devil or whatever. But yeah, I think there's it's not a bad spot, and I wouldn't say it should be lower. On my own personal list, it probably wouldn't be that high, but I understand if I was making an objective list rather than a subjective one, I think I probably would put it that high.
Okay. The next one, Infamous, The Overlook Hotel, and how Jack Torrance makes his entrance at 13. What are we making? I don't think it's an amazing character warranted 13th on the list. It's a great movie, and I think, but that movie does not do the book justice. Like, they have him as such a loving father at the start of it, where he's not at all in the book. Like, he's broken the young lad's arm and everything before they move up there, so it's nothing they didn't expect. You know that kind of way.
Yeah, but I think, and I get what you're saying, but I think in the film that gives that extra like it makes it worse. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I suppose it probably does, yeah.
Like, if the guy was a piece of shit before he got there, you're like, yeah, no wonder a demon possessed him and just made him that little bit worse. Whereas
it was more impactful.
Like, he's a really good guy, and actually, he's just become like a huge piece of shit. Like
he goes mad. He goes mad in his own mind. Like
so as I said, possessed. He's not possessed. He kind of just loses his mind.
Yeah. All work and no play.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong character, because I think it was extraordinarily impactful in the way it was presented. But again, it suffers from that thing of it only had one film.
It has two.
Yeah, but
Doctor Strange, yeah.
Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep, which
Doctor
came
Strange.
out. Yeah, Doctor Sleep, which came out, and I did like Doctor Sleep, to be fair, but I'm just talking like the original thing. So yeah, I suppose it has two, but I'm not unhappy with it being where it is. I don't think it deserves to break the top 10, but I think it's such a memorable character as well.
Yeah.
That it probably does deserve to be there. Now, is it memorable because of a specific scene? I suppose is one of the questions. I don't think it is, because I think there's
multiple ones,
enough specific scenes to make it memorable, which I think is the big thing.
Like, I love that scene where he's in the bar. And he's like, "You are the caretaker, Mr. Grady."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck.
I think that's a fair enough spot, and I think
I'm okay with that.
Obviously, the actor you have in there really helps as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, lads. Number 12. For me, and I've said it 1,000,001 times, this is the greatest remake of any genre ever. The Thing comes in here at 12.
Greatest bad guy.
The alien itself, or the parasite, or whatever it was, is...
I wouldn't have it in the top 10, but I'm happy enough with it where it is.
For me, I'd have probably put it lower on the list, because obviously it needs a vessel.
Yeah, that's the thing I'd kind of say. Is it a bad guy?
Well, it is. It is in a way, because once it infects them, it causes them to do it. It takes over and gets them to do it. Because it's not something the person's going to do by themselves.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's another possession kind of way, but obviously this is a little parasite, or... I don't think you ever actually find out what it is.
Yeah, I guess part of this, and I don't want you to divulge anyone else further on the list. There's something else I would have here instead of it.
Okay.
I guess, but I'm happy enough for it to be there, I suppose. It's not a bad spot.
It's not offensive at number 12. Put it that way.
No. I mean, if we're talking about movies, at 12, I'd be annoyed that it's not higher on the list.
Yeah.
As a film, yes, it deserves to be a lot higher. As a bad guy, I don't know.
That's okay. As I said, again, reiterate, if you're only joining in somewhere through this, we didn't make this list. I plucked it from the interweb. Right, number 11, a movie that caused mass hysteria in the 70s, and probably nearly got Steven Spielberg kicked out of fucking Hollywood with Jaws.
E.T.
E.T. is definitely a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. Steals that kid's bike and never gives it back.
Obviously, we have Bruce the Shark, and then all the other sharks.
No, not having it. Not a bad guy.
Just nature doing nature's things.
Yeah, disqualified.
I would 100% be the same. I didn't think it should have been on it, but
no. Don't go swimming around in his area, and don't be shooting big fucking pointy things with barrels attached to them at him, right? You are fucking antagonising this guy. I'll go out and kill him.
And sailing a ship with its only known predator's name.
Yeah, listen.
Rubbing it in his face like.
Yeah, I'll go out and kill him. Yeah, I'll go out and kill him, and then he attacks me and eats me. Oh yeah, he's the bad guy. I attacked him and he fought back. Yeah, fuck you, not a bad guy.
Quinn's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't put Jaws there.
No.
I get what they mean in the sense that, it's meant to be the antagonist, and it does do
nature doing nature's things.
Well, it's not really, because sharks don't really attack people like that. I think in terms of what it did was brilliant. I think the actual bad guy in the film is the mayor.
He's a dick, a proper dick.
No, we are keeping the beach open, even though there's a shark that's eating people. He's the bad guy. But yeah, overall, I don't think I would put Jaws. Like, I don't think I'd put Bruce the Shark on this because I don't think the shark is a bad guy. It's a predator that's catching prey.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I wouldn't have made it for me.
Although I guess the argument is it just catching prey or is it hunting people to kill them? If it's hunting people to kill them, then it's
deep blue sea. They were hunting people.
Yeah, see, I would have put Deep Blue Sea closer, but then again, is the bad guy in Deep Blue Sea the shark, or is it the person who made the shark capable of that?
It's a scientist, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, top 10, lads. This is another wide-based one. Zombies makes number 10 here.
Well, if you're doing it like a vast one like that, then yeah, fine.
Yeah,
zombies.
Absolutely, yeah. There's too many zombie films to say. Dawn of the Dead, and then you've got the remake where they're quicker. You've got the Infected.
Loads of them, yeah. I mean, 10 is fine.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, listen, zombies are like they're undead trying to eat you. Yeah, and they're pretty bad guys.
Pretty much.
Brainless, so. Can they be blamed? Maybe not, but yeah, like at the end of the day, if there's a lot of zombies, they're the bad guys. Yeah.
Right, number 9. It got mentioned earlier on in the show about being an entity. This is Pennywise, comes in here at 9. 4 films, potentially now a 10-episode HBO Max show. Welcome to Derry coming out next year.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit higher. I think it's a really strong bad guy.
Very strong. I think the fact that it uses your own fears against you.
That's what I was going to say. I think that's what makes it so strong. Is it's capable of reading your fears and plays up to them. And even though it can play up to them, it can also do things to just fuck with you, like not playing up to your fears. Just be like, yeah, like I'm just a dick. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it in the top 10.
I'd be happy okay with it being in the top 10.
I'd be happy with it higher as well, but I'm okay with that at 9. You know.
I'll see what comes ahead of it. But I wouldn't be angry that if it was higher either.
No, me either.
I'd have definitely not had this one. I would have had Pennywise ahead of this anyway. Number 8 is Pinhead. I think the character's fantastic.
Yeah, I'd definitely have Pennywise higher than Pinhead.
Not a fan of the movies, really. I find them quite boring. Body horror for me isn't really a major thing. Don't get me wrong, I know people love it, but for me, the character of Pinhead is great.
He's brilliant.
The Cenobites. But for me, I'd have Pennywise ahead of this all day, every day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely be the same. I think it probably does deserve to be in the top 10, though.
Yes. Agreed.
But
again, is that because it's a cultural icon?
No, well, see, it is a cultural icon for a lot of people, right? But for take me, I don't really like the movies. I won't throw them on, but I know I like the character, and I like what it stands with, and I like the look.
No, but that's what I mean. So it's a cultural icon because people who haven't seen the films know
who it is.
They might not know the name of the character, but they know that look. And is the look what makes it more famous than the actual?
You see, I have a feeling a lot of the top 10 are going to be like that. I have a feeling. So
yeah, but if you take, say, like Freddy Krueger, right? Definitely a bad guy. But Pinhead, is Pinhead that bad a guy, or does the look do a lot of heavy lifting? Would be my only thing.
I agree with you.
So I might be willing to drop him out of the top 10 based on that. Like I would have Saw or Jigsaw ahead of Pinhead.
Yeah, I would as well.
Now, before you go on, Greg, there's one character that is not. If it's not on this list, I'll be fucking surprised. Well, no, I won't be surprised because of the way the list has gone. And if we come across it, I'll tell you. But if not, then I'll tell you at the end.
Fair enough. Number 7. Man won an Oscar for this. He won Big Five in '93. He won an Oscar for 11 minutes of screen time or something. Hannibal Lecter.
Too low.
Yeah.
That's 7.
Yeah.
Iconic bad guy.
Top 5, I think.
As a bad guy, you have to think, why is this guy a bad guy?
Technically, he's not a bad guy in the first one, though. Buffalo Bill is the bad guy.
He's still a bad guy. What he's done.
He's eating people, Greg.
Man's trying to survive. How come that plane full of the Argentinian footballers didn't get in trouble for that? They didn't get locked up for eating people.
Well, they served their punishment. But see, this is what I mean. He's a very good bad guy in the sense that, like, you look at that, like, you look at it and you're like, fucking hell, what a piece of shit. And then the character is played very well across everything. Not just even that. Like, you talk about the series and stuff. Like, has there ever been a bad?
No, I don't think so.
Hannibal.
Mads Mikkelsen was fantastic. I heard.
He was.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a bad actor in Hannibal Lecter? I don't think there ever has, because I think the character itself lends itself so easily. And obviously, if someone was a shit actor, they could fuck it up. But
of course, Brian Cox played him first.
Yeah, he was another fantastic actor.
Yeah,
and I think I think that's one of the best bad guys of all time. Like,
I agree.
It's hyper intelligent guy who is happy to kill. I don't think he really gets any thrill out of killing. More so the thrill is the eating of people he's killed.
Yeah.
But is that again worse, because this is a guy who, you know, doesn't need to kill people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a strange one, really, isn't it? Like, as you said, hyper intelligent. He controls the situation.
Yeah.
Without actually controlling anything.
Yeah, which is what makes him such a good bad guy. It's similar to Jigsaw. Like, he's in control, and he could just let you go. Like, that's fine. I don't need to do that. But
so should be higher. Definitely should be higher.
I think he should be higher. I'd have him top 5 easily.
Yeah.
Number 6. King, this is your entry. Leatherface comes in at 6.
I'm going to surprise you lads here. I think he's too high up.
I don't myself, because of how iconic it is, but
it goes back to what Greg was saying. Now the franchise is muck, right? So it goes back to what Ted was saying about, does the look bring him up that high? The cultural icon thing, you know?
Yeah.
So boys, you know I fucking love Leatherface, right? But I definitely wouldn't have him in this particular list. Best bad guys, I wouldn't have him in the top 10. You know?
Yeah, like, again, he is a bad guy, but there's an element of
he's misunderstood as well. He's been taken advantage of.
Yeah, exactly.
He's an abuse victim that isn't exactly intelligent.
Yeah.
He's intelligent to know what he's doing is wrong. He is intelligent enough, but
it's the family element again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like, he's intelligent enough to know what he's doing is wrong, but it's how he was brought up, like this, which doesn't excuse it, I guess, either. But I agree. I think top 20, yes. Maybe a little bit too high where it is. Yeah. I think 6 is maybe a little bit too high. Maybe 16.
And if you had said that to me, that Leatherface was even in the top 20 in this, as in 16, I would have been happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's a fairer spot, because it's a, you know,
let alone number 6.
Yeah, I think dropping it down to somewhere in the teens is a fair spot for it. But
yeah,
deserving of being in the list, definitely.
Deserving of being in any list, but just not that high up in this particular list.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Right, lads, we're going back to Universal here, and the Count finally makes his entrance at number 5. What are we making? Count Dracula?
Definitely in top 5. Maybe should be higher. Maybe than 5.
There's so many different versions, and it's diluted them. Like, you've got obviously Christopher Lee's version, which is horrendously terrifying. You've got Bela Lugosi, but then like Leslie Nielsen played Dracula. Do you know what I mean? Eddie Murphy played a version of Dracula. Gary Oldman played a completely different version of Dracula. Do you know what I mean?
Luke Evans played him.
Luke Evans was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think definitely deserving of the top 5. but I think part of what you need to remember is this is what he does to survive.
Yeah. It's
You
just
see,
nature.
do you know something, lads? I'm going to cut into you there. Sorry. I think if they had have concentrated on one version of the character, for example, Christopher Lee's one, then I would have said absolutely number 5, perfect.
It just said Counteract. It didn't even specify a movie.
That's just kind of lazy, I feel. You know?
But I suppose that's you're talking about the bad guy, and like if you're gonna say Count Dracula, then it's the bad guy across everything he's done.
Mm.
And I think yes, he's a bad guy because does he need to kill? No. He could survive without killing, which we've seen in other vampire style films where it's like they just drain a little bit of blood to stay alive, or they go to
the blade vampires and you go to the blood bank,
yeah, blood banks and stuff like that. So you've got ways around it, but at the same time, if you look at some vampires, so say like Buffy, which doesn't have Dracula in it, but like those vampires are just vicious.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they're vicious because they like being vicious.
My old friend 30 Days a Night do it very well.
Yeah, so there's different ways of doing it. So I think he deserves to be up there because when you portray Dracula as just this vicious character, he deserves to be up there for that. Yeah. But when you portray him as just he's a vampire and he's doing what he needs to survive, which may involve killing people from time to time, he doesn't exactly do anything overly bad outside of that.
The Demeter, the Rise of the Demeter done a really good job of it, showing the animalistic side this year.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, like, if you had all that power, right, the powers that he has, and the terrorizing you could do.
Oh yeah.
I'd fuck everybody up, every single person. Would not give a fuck.
The terrorizing that you could do that he doesn't do on most occasions.
I think would say he's sophisticated.
Yeah, he's not as bad a guy as he could be.
That's fair.
So I think 5 is fair.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'd deserve to be any higher than 5. Even if he dropped to 6, I wouldn't be like, that's outrageous.
No.
Okay. Number 4, lads. The Xenomorphs from Alien. Again, nature doing nature's things to an extent.
Yes, they're an alien race and their objective is to wipe out whatever planet they get to. So in that sense, it's not just nature being nature. Like Predator isn't looking to wipe out the human race, never looks to wipe out the human race. Because it's come back and forth between Earth. It's never stayed and been like, let me wipe out this race.
No, the Xenomorph wants it.
With the alien, it doesn't know any different. It's like the shark. It does not know any different. It just tries to survive, really.
But it's not just trying to survive. Like, to survive, does it need to completely destroy everywhere it goes? Like, that doesn't help it survive. Once they've destroyed a planet, the planet is no longer useful to them. So they need to move on to the next one. It's not surviving. So there's a destruction within it. And whether that's it could just be that's how they've always been raised and that's their understanding of how things should work is an argument to be made. So I probably wouldn't have the Xenomorphs top 5. Top 10 though, yes.
Top 10, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Number 3, lads. Jason. Probably one of the most iconic characters. I find it quite boring, to be honest. It's the same thing over and over and over again.
But he
boring.
But boring. But I agree with maybe top 5. But because all he wants to do is kill.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, yeah. He hasn't done any kind of mad.
He did make it to space though.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that makes him a very strong bad guy because he's not killing because he has to. Like, there's no. Like, he wants to kill. Like, in theory, he could just be like, I won't do that anymore. I'll just fuck off. Like, I'll just stop doing it. No,
but look, Camp Crystal Lake, I'm out the gap.
Yeah, he's just like no, like I like killing people. I like terrorizing people, which that makes you a pretty bad guy. So yeah, I think 3 is probably fair.
Yeah,
and an
I
iconic
think
look too.
well, that's another thing. Like a lot of those films are really crap. The Friday the 13th ones, but he is fucking cool in them. He is cool in them, and
as a character, very strong.
Portrayed by I think it's 5 different people over the Friday the Friday films, but really took off when Kane Hodder got there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think 3 is accurate there.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, and I think we kind of know what's going to be 1 and 2.
Depends on where they place, though.
Yeah, it's where they place, but I think we all know what these final 2 are, right?
Yeah. Number 2, Freddy Krueger.
See,
for me, he's the ultimate bad guy.
I would have put him at 1 because he is someone who was a horrible piece of shit when he was alive.
Yeah, and when he was dead.
And then when he dies, he becomes like haunting people's dreams and stuff like that, taking time that is meant to be there, like
to relax.
You're sleeping, which is necessary, but like it's also a time where your body is at its most relaxed. So I probably would have put him ahead. But I suppose some people will make the argument of, but he's not a real person anymore. He's an entity in certain ways. But like the guy was a piece of shit beforehand, so.
But there's this thing we said as well. There's your cultural icon.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Horror will never see another person like that, and like art is getting to it.
Yeah, and that's someone who should probably like this list may have been written before Terrifier.
Yeah, I didn't look at the date actually.
So that could be why Art's not on it. But Art is one that does deserve to be on this list ahead of some of the other people that were on it.
Absolutely.
So before you do go on, because we do know who's going to be number 1.
Yeah.
I think Mick Taylor from Wolf Creek should have been on this list.
I thought the same thing. He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and even in the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I sat down and thought about it now, I haven't put much thought into it here. I would say if I sat down and thought about it, there's probably a couple of other bad guys where I'd be like, they probably deserve.
Oh, there's definitely at least 10 that I can think off the top of my head.
Yeah, like
I'd easily move into spots in this.
Yeah, and like obviously we're just going films, so there's certain people. I think
Victor Crowley for me would be 1 from Hatchet.
What about Patrick Bateman from American Psycho even?
Yes, there you run that risk. The same argument could be made for that with Annie Wilkes with Misery. There's only 1 movie.
Yeah, but
I love Bateman.
I would probably have Bateman in there ahead of, say, The Family.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Victor Crowley should be in there, no doubt in my mind. He should be in there. Like 4 movies or 5 movies from Hatchet, just blatantly killing people for the sake of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely elements there that if you sat down and thought about it, you could be like, right, and it might be a future episode we do, as we said, where you would think and be like, there's a lot of different people I would put in there.
I'd have the Hilliker brothers in there as well.
Yeah, get that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, number 1, lads, no surprise, Big Ed from The Mutilator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I thought it was going to be. All right.
No, Mike Myers.
Yeah.
From Austin Powers.
Yeah. Very scary character. He's very groovy.
He's very shagadelic.
Yeah, very groovy, very shagadelic. Like, fat bastard fears him above all else.
So now, is this one the ultimate mix of iconic look and?
Yeah, it's just that one now. I think it's, for me, as we said, I think Freddy should be number 1 because of life and death.
Me too.
But because Michael Myers is the only one that's still relevant. Obviously, we got the movies over the last few years. There hasn't been anything to do with Nightmare on Elm Street since 2010.
Yeah, and
after that debacle, I'm quite happy for that to stay there for a while.
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Get Freddy Krueger and put it in VR. That's the fucking future. That's the next film that you should be making.
Ready Player One went on it. Remember?
Yeah, but that was just a nice little throw in. Yeah. Just do a film where people are playing VR games and Freddy Krueger starts showing up. It's fucking, that is the way to go. It is fucking pitch perfect for a film to be made like that. Why hasn't somebody done it?
I think in that particular list, I would have had Freddy 1, Jason 2, and Michael Myers 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I still have Myers 2. Oh, like over Jason.
I just switched 1 and 2.
I think Myers, again, very similar to Jason in that he could just not kill people.
Yeah, he's choosing to do it, yeah.
But the reason, and it is to do with the newer films, is that they've made the conscious decision in these newer films to have had him in, in the prison and stuff, the psychiatric prison and stuff, where he just hasn't been killing people since he was caught from the original film. All those other films don't exist. So he's gone all these years without killing anyone because he made the decision not to kill anyone. And the second he made the decision to start killing again, he just went on a rampage, and he is indifferent to who he kills. Children, like men, women, children, it does not matter to him. And what I liked is that in this latest one, when he realized he was getting on in the years and that possibly he couldn't continue, he is so cruel and so like villainous that he actually was like, I will get an apprentice. I will teach somebody to be like me. And then that guy just wasn't good enough, and he was like, right, fuck you then, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
But he had the idea that he would pass on his legacy, which I think puts him ahead of Jason.
Justice for Big John and Little John.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point, Ted. Yeah.
I think the fact that he had plans to move his legacy on shows how cruel he could be and how much of a bad guy he was. Because obviously his main focus was to kill Laurie, like the whole time. Like that's his whole focus, is killing her and killing any member of families that she has. And everyone else is just kind of, I'll kill them because they're in the way, yeah. Or not even necessarily in my way, just kind of in my vicinity.
They're there.
Yeah, like some of the people were in his way. He needed to get into a house, so he killed people to get through them. Some of them, it was just like, they just, like, they're kind of near me, I better kill them.
That man gave me the greatest cinematic moment in the last 10 years when he killed Judy Greer.
Stop hating Judy Greer so much.
Yeah, man, come on now.
Leave me alone. I'm just getting off hating James McAvoy, lads.
No, I think the three of them deserve their spot in that top three.
Yeah.
I think there is arguments to be made to bump. I'd say you could probably make an argument to bump any of them out of your top three if you had someone you felt should be there and you had a strong argument for them. Mm-hmm. I think you could make the argument. As I said, there's people I would have put in a list. One of them happens to be on my background here. Lost Boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a bad guy. David. That should be in here.
Well, actually, no, it wouldn't be David. It would be Max.
Yeah.
I think you could make the argument that David himself deserves to be in there because he's a pretty bad guy.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Well, then he falls under the. Well, no, I'm not Dracula now, but like
exactly. See, because that's the thing. They didn't go vampires. They went specifically one vampire.
Which was strange because they went zombies rather than one set.
Yeah, but there's no specific zombie that you would be like this particular zombie.
Yeah, the infected in 30 days or in 28 days later for me is phenomenal.
Yeah, but again, there's no one person, whereas Dracula is a specific vampire.
I know.
It's not like a breed of vampires. It's just one specific guy, obviously played by different people. But
in terms of that list, lads, there's certainly a lot of changes I'd make.
We definitely need to do it now then, if that's the case.
I think we'll do the list ourselves and then do another episode and show how much better we could have done it.
Yeah.
How they could have done it.
Absolutely.
I think maybe we'll go to work for the next week or two and level down a list maybe jump on and we'll do one,
Yeah.
and then we'll get you air lists, and you can compare and see which one's better. Airs, obviously, because that one was shit.
Yeah,
right. Well, I will say, if we're going to do that, right, I think we all know that I don't think any of us are going to change that top three.
No.
Right? Just the order, maybe.
Possibly the order. So, is there much point in putting them in? Like, we all know they're going to be up there, and an argument to be made for he should be 1, he should be 2, he should be 3. But do we leave them off our list and say, do a list of 29, and those 3 are just, the top 3 of those 3?
I'd say leave them in. I just
put them in, and then what we'll do is maybe after the episode, we'll read out their 32 against their 32, their 31 against their 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. It's just because when you know those 3 are just going to top it, it's anticlimactic.
I get that as well, but like they're there for a reason.
Well, we could always do it from number 1 all the way down then, for a change.
No, well, I maybe just do those 3 and say, listen, this is where we put these 3, and then go from 32 up to 4, because we'll have given away our 3, because we know they're going to be there. Now, if somebody happens to change theirs, then listen, I'm all for leaving it to the end, but I'd be surprised if any of us change out those 3.
I like there's got to be something in your head that's somewhat wrong, whether you like the films or not. In terms of bad guys, they are the 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a list. I'm not overly fond of the list. We broke it down for you.
We dissected it the fuck.
And if there's anyone that you think should be on that list, let us know in the comments below. But over the next few weeks, we'll get to work and do the On the Slab top 32 bad guys. Well, actually, we'll do top 29 because the top 3 we just said are going to stay the same.
Yeah.
Maybe different order, but you'd have to tune in to figure that one out. But I imagine there's going to be civil war in the group chat over the next few weeks to get this done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But folks, what we'll do is we'll leave this the way we leave it every single Friday night. In the words of the great George A. Romero, ladies and gentlemen, stay scared.
Woo!